phone buzzed in my pocket. I was out at a bar, about 3.5 cosmos deep. Not blackout drunk, but definitely buzzed. I pulled out my phone and saw a message from someone I rarely heard from. My downstairs neighbor. "Hey, could you keep it down? It's really late and I'm trying to sleep." Her tone felt sharp, even in text. I'd had a bit of a history with her, once through a loud midweek party that got me written up by the landlord. Ever since, I kept things quiet. I made sure guests left at a decent hour, and I walked like a cat in my own apartment. But her complaint didn't make sense. I wasn't even home. In fact, I was hours away in another city entirely. "I'm not home," I texted back. "I'm out of town." The reply came almost instantly. "Well, someone's up there, walking around and talking." That made me step away from the music and the flashing lights. I slipped past a group of my friends and headed outside to call her. I passed a bunch of smokers, hoping none of them would hit me with some drunk guy nonsense. Of course, I heard the usual. "Smile, baby," and a distant, "looking good." I kept my head down and called her. She picked up immediately. "Seriously, can you not stop around at 2 a.m.? I exhaled sharply. "I'm telling you, I'm not there. I'm literally in another city." "Well, someone is. I've been hearing thuds and movement all night." "No one should be there," I said. "I left this morning. The place should be completely empty." There was a pause. "All right, prove it. FaceTime me." "Fine." I flipped the camera and showed her the busy nightlife behind me. "See? Told you." I could barely see her face. It was dark on her end, just her voice coming through. "Oh, well, okay, sorry, I guess. Maybe it's someone next door." "Yeah, maybe," I replied, annoyed. "Have a good night." "You too." None of it added up. It didn't feel like a robbery. It felt intentional. Panicking, I called my neighbor back. "Hey," she answered sleepily. "What did you hear last night? Please, was it loud? Did it sound like someone breaking in?" She paused. "What are you talking about?" "Last night, you texted me. Said I was being too loud." There was another pause. "No, I didn't. I've been out of town for the past few days. I'm not even in the building." My blood went cold. "Wait, what?" "I haven't been home. I'm visiting my sister until Thursday. You FaceTimed me last night." Number I definitely didn't. "Look, I gotta go. Hope everything's okay, but I can't help you from here." She hung up. I stood in the middle of my wrecked apartment, confused and completely unnerved. I ran a hand through my hair, and that's when something soft hit my shoulder and fell to the ground. I looked down. It was a sock. That's the end, if you like the video. None of it added up. It didn't feel like a robbery. It felt intentional. Panicking, I called my neighbor back. "Hey," she answered sleepily. "What did you hear last night? Please, was it loud? Did it sound like someone breaking in?" She paused. "What are you talking about?" "Last night, you texted me. Said I was being too loud." There was another pause. "No, I didn't. I've been out of town for the past few days. I'm not even in the building." My blood went cold. "Wait, what?" "I haven't been home. I'm visiting my sister until Thursday." You FaceTimed me last night. Number I definitely didn't. Look, I gotta go. Hope everything's okay, but I can't help you from here. She hung up. I stood in the middle of my wrecked apartment, confused and completely unnerved. I ran a hand through my hair, and that's when something soft hit my shoulder and fell to the ground. I looked down. It was a sock. I grew up in a pretty tough neighborhood. You know how it is. Some neighbors are ghosts, barely seen or heard from. Some are outright nightmares. And a few are good people, you hold on to tightly because you need them. On one side of my childhood home was a quiet neighbor who barely ever came outside, but eventually warmed up to us. On the other side lived my godparents. Across the street, things got complicated. There was a family addicted to meth right across from us, and just a couple of houses down on the corner was a guy everyone knew. He made and sold meth. He wasn't just some small-time dealer. This guy was the local kingpin. People called him Bike Dan or just the White Guy. Dan ran a garage where he fixed cars all day and night, from dawn until almost midnight, with customers coming and going constantly, buying drugs, hanging out, or arguing loudly. Sometimes those arguments ended with gunfire. Most people backed off when guns were drawn. He always rode his bike everywhere, even though he had a working car. As a kid, I just saw him as a scary, unpredictable neighbor to avoid. But as I got older, I found out more about Dan. He wasn't just supplying meth to the neighborhood users. He controlled much of the local drug trade. Two big gangs ruled nearby areas, but our block was sort of a neutral zone. Why? Because Dan supplied those gangs, and in return they agreed to keep their turf and violence out of his neighborhood. The unspoken rule was simple. If you dealt with Dan, you didn't bring trouble here. His bike rides and friendly waves weren't just friendliness. He was watching everyone, letting them know he was paying attention. To us kids, it seemed like strange behavior, but it was his way of maintaining control. People judged him as a dealer and addict, but some of the neighbors you'd least expect, like my godfather and even the local prison guard, had a quiet respect for him. They knew what he was doing but didn't talk about it openly. So that was Dan, both the neighborhood's worst nightmare and, in a way, its unlikely protector. A guy you feared but also depended on to keep the chaos from spilling over. When I first started working as a nanny for this family, they gave me a heads up about a certain neighbor. They said he might stop by once in a while, and told me not to be alarmed if he just showed up. I didn't think too much of it at the time. I figured it was just a friendly old man. But what I've been dealing with since then, way beyond what I expected. The first real red flag happened a few months into the job, around early spring. I was about to put the kids down for their nap when he just walked into the house. No knocking, no ringing the doorbell, just came in like he owned the place. His excuse? He said he saw us outside earlier and it was too hot. So he got worried. I mentioned it to the mom, and she casually told me he does that all the time. To them, too. She even told me they've come home from errands and found him inside. She said she'd remind him not to do it when I'm there alone. Like, it's somehow okay if he does it when she's around. Honestly, that didn't sit right with me. But she didn't seem too concerned. There were more uncomfortable moments after that. When we'd be outside playing, he'd roll up in his golf cart and hang around. He'd follow us slowly as we walked and make comments that gave me chills. He called us the Three Charlie's Angels more than once and made weird remarks about how we looked. And yes, he said this even in front of the dad, who just laughed or said nothing at all. Over the summer, he showed up more often, always on days we were doing water play outside. The girls would be in their swimsuits, and sure enough, he'd come by, make comments, and even invited us to use a sprinkler he set up in his yard. It didn't feel like a coincidence. The most unsettling moment happened recently. We were walking down the road to check out some animals nearby. Just a normal part of the girls' day. Halfway there, I heard the sound of his golf cart again. At this point, His presence always puts me on edge. I hurried the girls along and started heading back. As we were walking, he pulled up next to us and started chatting. The older girl, who had just turned 5, happily told him her age. And that's when he said it. With a weird smile and tone, he replied, "Oh, more like 5, going on 15. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I didn't respond, just picked up the younger girl and made a quick exit. I texted the mom immediately. Her response? She just brushed it off with a creepy insert nickname here, and never mentioned it again. I'm honestly not sure what to do at this point. I want the girls to enjoy being outside, but I'm constantly worried when he's around. I did a quick check to see if he was on any kind of registry, but nothing came up. Still, that doesn't make me feel safer. I make sure the doors are locked now during the day, just in case. He lives nearby with his wife, but she works full-time and he's retired, so he has nothing but time to wander around. I don't know if he's dangerous or just weird, but the girl's safety is my top priority, and something about him just feels off. This is the end. Please hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next video. With that said, stay safe.